This is Ed Robinson of Kensington College talking today about string handling. A string is a piece of text, either in VBA or any other languages, C#, C++, etc., Java. So a string is a piece of text. So we'll be talking about extracting text from other text. You've probably come across it in Excel already. For example, we've got this string here, and we want to extract the 5 characters on the left, for example. So we would use the left function in this case, and there's left and mid and right and all sorts of things. So we can click on the text and then say comma 5 is the number of characters that we want, and press the enter, and therefore we've got the left bit. Another example that you've probably come across, when we have this bit of text, for example, and you want to extract the tickers on the left and separate them from the prices. Well, we've got the you might have come across the text to columns, which is this one here at the top. I'll just do this quickly because this is just revision from Excel. And we click on next and we say, oh, we want the comma delimiter, and then we click on next and then finish, and that should separate them like that. But you might want some more flexibility in what you're doing. For example, we might have this bit of text, and we want to extract from there the tickers and the share prices and so on. And you'll see that that's not so straightforward. And in fact, from Excel, it would be extremely difficult to do. It could be done actually, but we want to use VBA, which gives us a lot more flexibility. And when things become a bit too compounded, then VBA is definitely the way to go. The text that you see here is a bit of XML, which I'll explain a bit later, which but we can what we call parse. Parse means to extract data from and split up the string. So in this case, we've got the share name and the ticker and so on. So parsing it will be able to extract the IBM and the price, as we've done right here using the text to columns. So we can start off by putting a button on the screen. As you know, you go to the developer and insert, and then put an ActiveX button on the sheet, and then double click on it, and we've got our command button sub over here, which we can experiment with. So we'll start off by declaring a couple of string variables, dim st1, dimension if you like, st1 as a string, and st2 as a string, and we're using option explicit, so therefore we do need to dim all our variables. So we can therefore define, I should say, a couple of variables. We've already declared them. A couple of variables, we'll call them say house and boat. Now don't get confused by this colon there. We could equally put them on 2 lines, and perhaps I'll just do that for the moment. What we're going to do is to try and concatenate the strings, that is to say join them together, and we might as well put the result into cell 1-1 so we can see it. So if I try that, cells 1-1, which of course is the cell up here, so you should see the concatenation of them. Now Excel also has the ampersand operator, which joins together a piece of text. So they're very similar. So if I take the design off and click the button, it should concatenate the 2 strings. We've also got another function which is called the left string, and so we can try the left function. We'll put that in the cell beneath into cell 1-2. Let me just try that again. The left function is just taking, it's very much the same as Excel itself, which you just saw. So that should put the value 1 cell beneath. I'll just try that, and then you can see that it's taking st1, it's taking the 2 characters to the left. So let's take a look at all of these others. If we have right, that should take the 2 rightmost characters of the string st1. Let me just run this, all of those, and just see the results that we get. So right st1 2 is the first 2 characters over here to the right of it, so it's in cells 3-1, which is here. So the right 2 characters of house is SE, as you can see. If you take a look at inString, now inString actually finds the position of a string within another string. So st1 is the string, which as we said was house, and we're looking for the position of US. So if you look at the position of US within house, you can see it's the third character is where it starts over here. So this is the answer here, which is 3. So just once again, 3 is the position of US, in fact the position of the U within house. So that's the meaning of in string st1, which is house. Where is the position of US? It's in position number 3, as you can see. Quite an important string function, this one. If we take a look at mid, now mid 5-1 st1, once again st1 is house, and we're going to be starting at position number 3 within house. You can see that it's this position here is position number 3. Then it says take the next 2 characters. So in other words, starting at position number 3, taking the 2 characters, which is the U and the S, which is the result that we've got over here in cell A5. Finally, we've got the length of the string. Simply says how long is st1. Well, pretty simply, it's 5 characters long. You can check that. HOUSE is 5 characters. So these are probably the most important string functions at all. I'd like to concentrate a bit on the mid. So what I'll do is just get rid of those for a moment, and then just in fact I'll just, so we can see what we're doing, I'll delete the this bit here and here. Okay, and I'll just delete this and just run it again to show you that the result of this, once again, if we take the word house and then we start at position number 3, which is position here, and take the next 2 characters, which is the U and the S. The question is now, what if I leave out this character, the comma 2? Well, you could have a guess. You'd probably say maybe it just picks out the 1 character. No, it doesn't. What it does, and let's just run it and see what happens, it takes all of the characters to the right from there. So it starts at position number 3, which is here, and takes all of the characters to the right. Very useful, because this is what we'll be doing a lot of, extracting data from other data. So along with in-string, which returns a number, remember, of finding the position of something, mid actually does the extraction. And you can imagine you've got like masses of data coming in, IBM tickers and so on, you want to extract all the prices, then mid is really a very useful function. But you might take a look and compare that with the right function. If you recall the right function, take a look again, the right function takes the characters to the right, but starting from the right. So right 3 is this, this, and this, starting from there. Now you might think that's quite useful. It's not. More useful is mid, and the reason is that right, you have to know where to start and how many characters you're taking from there to the left. It's a bit tricky sometimes. Mid gives you an actual starting point there, for example, and then you take all the characters. Incidentally, if you just wanted 1 character, then you would do that, and that would just extract the U starting at position 3, taking 1 character. But when you leave that out, it doesn't get bothered, does it, that there's not another parameter there? VBA is actually quite forgiving, really. You can have it or not, and that really is quite forgiving. It's called really overloading. We're overloading a function, so VBA doesn't mind how many parameters it accepts. Very flexible. So let's try an example of string handling in VBA. We have here for document types. We have an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document. What I'd like to know is to get VBA to tell us what type it is. So what the objective is to click on this button, and it's going to say what it is. That's an Excel spreadsheet. That's a Word. Those two are Word documents. So we need to have some sort of strategy. Well,
what you might consider is this: find the position of the full stop or period, what the Americans call it, I think. Find the position of that full stop, and then extract the characters to the right of that full stop. Now you can see that the position of the full stop is different in these two cases. It's at position number 4, and here it's position number 5. But so let's just concentrate on that for the moment. We're just going to find the position of the full stop, keeping in mind that this bit of text to the left might be different. So what we need to do is to, first of all, I think we'll just set up some variables. So say dim st as a string, and then we could say st is equal to cells 11 dot value, and then we'll try and put that into the right hand side. So I could say therefore that cells 1, 2, I just test this out for the moment, just make sure that so it's row 1 column 2 should be, that sounds a bit silly just doing the same thing, putting it back to where it was, but we could just give that a try, and that just puts it from the right to the left, which is a bit silly. But what we need to do is to find the position of a full stop. So what I'll do, I'll just delete that. Now, so we're going to use, say, an integer. We'll say dim pos as integer, and pos is going to be the position of the full stop, so it's a whole number or an integer. So we'll say therefore that pos is equal to, I'll just get rid of this, hope it doesn't distract us, and I'll come back to that. So I'll just put a comment on there, we're going to be using that in a moment. So we can say that pos is equal to, now we want to find the position of that full stop in that position in here, right? So we're dealing with, which function is it, do you think? Do you remember the one that finds the position of something within something else? And that is, so it's giving us a clue here, and you can just see that it might be at the start. Well, the start is optional where you start from, but we're coming back to that. String 1, well, string 1 is the string that we're dealing with, comma, and then it says what are we, the string that we're looking for? Well, what are we looking for? We're looking for the full stop, and we can express that as a string, even though it's only one character. That should be fine. And then I need to, therefore, I'll put that position pos into the cell on the right and just see if that works for the moment. Let's see, yes, position number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now keep in mind that we're trying to extract those characters to the right, but that might be XLS, it might be XLSM, so we have to keep it quite general. So do you recall which function that we use to find text within text? And as I mentioned before, the most useful one was mid. So mid starts off with looking at the string, and then it's going to find start at that position. Now before I do that, I'm just going to put another string up here which we call ext as a string. Sometimes I like to put my strings on one line and my integers on another line, etc. as I dim them. But what we're doing is find the extension. So okay, so the extension, which is the XLS or the XLSM. So I'll say that extension here is equal to mid. Mid. Now, starting in which position? Well, position number 4. Hang on, it's actually position number 5, which is one character to the left. So if you want to cheat a bit, you could just put in the 5 here. When I say cheating, because this is not perfectly general, but just to make sure that is working, and there's nothing wrong with using this technique if you want a little mental break, so to speak. And then I will then press the command button, and you see that works. It picks out the XLS, which is one more than the 4, you see. Well, let me try pos. Now pos should work in general for the position of any full stop that you come across. Well, does this work? If you take pos, I'll click the button. We don't want that full stop. So what do we do about that? Well, we started at position 4. We really want to start at position 5. Now this pause here represents 4. You could check that if you want to. We could just run it using a breakpoint. So I'll put a breakpoint here and then run the code, and it runs down to here. Now let's take a look at st. st is the string. You can probably just see that. It's st equals eds.xls, that says there. And pause, pause is 4. Well, it shouldn't be 4, yeah, because that, oh yes it is, because that line has been executed, and you can see that pause has got the position of 4. Now we don't want 4, we want one more all the time. It's always going to be one more, so we'll indeed put in +1 in here. It's pretty amazing that you can make these alterations as you go. This is being a bit cheeky, but if I press A, I'm not sure what's going to happen here, if it's actually going to work properly. Or yeah, that really is amazing. You can alter your code halfway through, and then that's very, very forgiving. Alter your code halfway through and it runs just fine. Okay, make sure you stop your code by clicking this up here. Let me just go through all of that once more. What we're trying to do is, well, perhaps I can put a breakpoint up here and run the code as I talk. Okay, so I click it. Now at the moment st ain't nothing, so we can press F8 and that puts the cells content 11 into that string st. Next I want to find the position of that, and at the moment you'll see that pos is 0. If you can just read that, pos, it says pos is 0 here, is now, but because that line hasn't been executed yet, so if I execute it, it says there that pos is 4, and then I need to continue. You'll see that xt has been picked up as position 5. You're taking the string and position 5, which is this position here up in the cell. It's the position of the full stop, and you'll take, that's position 4 I should say, so position 5 is this position here, and it's starting there and taking everything to the right. And so if I continue single stepping, xt is the value. Looks like I'm stuck in the middle, so pressing F8 will continue. xt is xls, and xls is placed in here. So what I could do, besides stopping the program, is try it out for different bits of text. So if I had another bit of stuff here, make the text a bit longer, and then I can have even an extension here. Let's see if that still works. So I'll take the breakpoint off and just run the whole thing, and just see, yes, that picks out the extension to the right. So you see how pos is completely general. It picks up the position of the full stop, which in this case is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So pos has got the value of 5 here, and then it adds 1 to it, which is 6, which is the start position of the X here, and then takes everything to the right of there and puts it in that cell to the right. So keep in mind here what we're trying to do. We're trying to attend to these and find out whether they're, you want to, I'll just click another button to show you what we're trying to achieve. These two are Excel spreadsheets and these two are Word documents in no particular order. So what we'll do, I should think, is to put this stuff that we've developed into some sort of a loop. Now this is not really string handle anymore. This is just revision of your loops and if statements. So we've really dealt with the string handling bit of it. So we're talking about for I equals 1 to 4, which is a loop, and don't forget that we need to say what I is. Then we're going to put it inside a loop, so I'll just go down here and put in the next before I do anything else. You always forget to put in next, so once any time you put a 4, then you should put a next straight away before you forget. So I like also indenting my code. Now that's going to let's see, it's going to find cells 1, 1, Well, we want to continue down as we go, and we want to change the row number, so we could change that to I. As we go down, it finds the position of each one, and and we want to put it to the right of that. We'll start off by just putting the extension to the right. Let me just give that a try. Okay, it's just doing that one there. I've forgotten here to change that to I as well. So let's see how that goes. If I try that, yeah, that's okay. So it's giving me the extensions at the moment, which is fine. You could try that. You could single step through there and take a bit of time to ponder on that, because we're doing quite a bit here. But what we really want to achieve, by the way, is to say what type it is. We want to achieve this. So we have to consider maybe some if statements in here. Now, where will we put an if statement? Let me think. xt is the extension, so I need some sort of if here. If xt equals for example XLS, or now I'll tell you what's tempting to do, and it's wrong, is to say or XLSX. Can you see the mistake? But while I'm talking, I'm nervous about forgetting my end if, so I'll put my end if in there as well. But can you see what the error is in here? It's a bit tricky. Well, first of all, I haven't put a then. That's what I always insist, that if and then are always on the same line. But can you see the error? Well, this is what we need to do. We need to say if xt is that, or xt is that. You have to sort of repeat yourself a bit there. Now, the other condition is an else if, because it's either one or the other. So we'll have an else if. Else if is going to deal with the word bit of it, so I'll just control drag that down there. If it's a doc, or if it's a double click on that, if it's a docx, then this is the word extensions, and then I'll say into the right hand side, I'll just control drag that up here and indent it while I'm here. If and then I2 equals, and we want to put a bit of text in here, and it's a Excel spreadsheet. And then on the other hand, if it's that, then it's going to be a Word document. So I need to put in here, it's a Word document. Let's just give that a try. I'll just clean that up a little bit and take a look. Yes, that seems to be it. No, it doesn't. It's got the wrong bit in here. I don't want this bit. This is overwriting. Sorry about that. I've left that in by mistake. It's overwriting the results. So there you are. That seems to work fine.